a greed and ambition. Born in the Gambia to parents with little formal education, a father who never attended school, a mother who left at the middle level, their sacrifices fueled Sawo's drive. In 2005, he graduated as the top student from SOS High School, earning distinction in maths, chemistry, and physics. At 16, a scholarship took him to the US.
I started my journey in the Gambia, went to SOS High School. That's where I graduated from. I had very good distinction in my last result, and I was the best student in 2005 when I graduated in 2005. So I got the opportunity to get a scholarship to further my education in the US. So for me, that was the way I was able to, start building the future for myself. So when I went to the US, it wasn't easy. It's a different country. Not having the right documentation every time I was just a student, and then having a major responsibility back home. But from a big extended family, Saikou, there's a lot of expectation, especially when you're overseas.
Despite these hurdles, Sawo earned a bachelor's and master's in business, served in the U.S. Army as a veteran, and thrived in corporate roles at T-Mobile and Verson. But his heart was set on empowering others.
So when I went to the U.S., I actually had to drop out of school for a little bit because, being an international student, the scholarship, couldn't cover my accommodation and everything else. So I took a little break from school. I was working 2 full-time jobs so I could support my family back home. My dad passed away 2 years after I went to the US, so that was more responsibility on me, taking care of my siblings, mom, extended family. You know how it is in Gambia when it's time for Ramadan. These are all the things you face, and then you have to pay your own bills too in the US. But alhamdulillah, Allah made it easy. I was able to support my family, help pay school fees, tuition fees for a lot of them that wants to continue education.
Sawo founded SBSG Plus, a tech and consulting firm, growing to 7-figure revenues from 0 clients. Back in the Gambia, he and his wife launched Mirrod, a luxury spa, now a regional brand in Senegal and Ghana, employing 30 staff.
Everything else that I could have. So I was working 2 jobs, and I was going to school full-time as well. I did my bachelor's program. I also did my master's in business. I served in the U.S. Army as well, so I'm a U.S. Army veteran. After I got my bachelor's, actually, I started working in corporate America. I worked for Fortune 500 companies like T-Mobile, Verizon. So I gained a lot of corporate experience working for this company. So while I was working, I was also transitioning to being an entrepreneur, so I can start my own. Because I had a game plan. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, impact other lives. So that's what inspired me to create a startup called SBSG Plus. It's a technology and business consulting firm. We started with 0 clients, and we were able to build it to a 7-figure revenue in America. And we hired, it's a small business, we hired people within the US. Alhamdulillah, we got a lot of, we got a couple of big contracts with the state of Louisiana. And we worked with medium and large size clients. So while I was working in the, while I was operating my business as well, I always wanted to come back home. I never wanted to retire in America. My plan was to come back home young and add value to the community that I came from. So that's what inspired me to relocate to the Gambia. So when we came to the Gambia, we did invest in real estate and some other strategic investments. And then my wife came up with this idea of Mirrod. She gets her nails done weekly. So it was hard to find something, something that quite fits her taste, right? So I was like, hey, that's a problem statement, but let's find a solution for it. So that's how the whole Mirrod idea came. It was her idea, and I was like, hey, I'm fully on board. I like it. We can put our brains together and build something big, and that's how Mirrod came about.
Now, Sawo's visions turns to politics. In 2025, he launched the Golden Era Party, or GEP, to tackle youth unemployment, food insecurity, and weak infrastructure through its Golden 9 agenda.
There's one common denominator. The cost of living in Ghana is high. The income doesn't match the expense. People are living hand to mouth. A lot of youth also don't have work. they're struggling. So that also inspired me. It's like, hey, we need to do more as a country. There's a lot of young, creative Gambians, but they just don't have the opportunity to try. So that's what inspired me to even join politics and create a movement. And Manager Yasin, she's a great woman, a philanthropist. She's done a lot of investments here in Gambia as well. And we have the same sentiment. We want better Gambia. A Gambia that we can be proud of. A Gambia that can be seen globally.
With 65% of Gambians under 40, Sawo champions youth employment and modern agriculture. His global perspective drives urgency, yet he is rooted in unity. One nation, one vision, one direction.
I traveled a lot. I've been to 12 other African countries. And I'm telling you, the sad thing is Gambia is behind. You come to Gambia, you think you're in a war zone. We just don't have, look at our environment. So that inspired, I want change. I want more for Gambia. And I want Gambians to know, this is our training. There are countries that are not as blessed as Gambia, and they're doing way better than us. How is that possible? So that's what inspired the movement, and that's why we call it the golden era. This is a new dawn. It's time for change. It's time to change our collective way of thinking. It's our mindset. We've been through struggles. Our parents have been through struggles. We shouldn't want the same for our kids, for the next generation. So for GEP, it's a generational movement. So that's why we call it the golden era, where Gambians will know, yes, we are number one in the world. We're going to be one of the best, safe, cleanest countries where businesses can thrive, where the young generation see hope in themselves. So that's why we call it the golden era. We usher in a new dawn. So we're not a party that is going to come out here and just make empty promises. Oh, we're going to invest in this, we're going to invest in that. No. We have a clear agenda. When you go to our website, goldenerapari.com, we have an agenda called the Golden Line Agenda. And that focuses on agriculture, education, modern infrastructure, economic diversification and expansion, youth empowerment, healthcare, governance, global branding. These are all, the key areas that Gambia is in dire need of that we focus on. So for GEP, we're different because we're action-oriented, right? We want to be able to show Gambia this can be done. So we're not making empty promises. If you look at our agenda and the roadmap we're trying to create, in 5 years, we should be able to come back, review the scorecard and say, yes, we've been able to achieve X, Y, and Z. Everybody should be held accountable because we get to serve the Gambian people. So we're different because we're not just talking, but we're action-oriented, and we're going to deliver the result. We're going to put framework in place to measure those results, where Gambians could actually see our performance. So you can only do that by transparency and accountability.
As GEP gains traction, Sawo urges Gambians to seize this moment for change. From scholar to entrepreneur to visionary leader, Saikou Sawo shows what's possible. For the Alkamba Times News, I am Momodou Gagigo.
Hello, wherever you are watching, this is the Alkamba Times News with me, Seni MK Marena, your host for the final take. But I've been away for a couple of weeks, but very soon I will be back on my show again because there's been a lot of happenings back home in the Gambia. A lot of things are happening in the Gambia. But as you follow Alkamba Times, I know you have been following the latest updates, latest news from the unconstitutional removal of the Auditor General, Modou Cisse, to gala protests against corruptions and accountability in the country, and also the recent one, the killing of the young boy from Mandinaring, Omar Baji, who allegedly died in police custody, because as we speak right now, there is a post-mortem currently being conducted, to ascertain the actual cause of his death. So we always try to follow the Alkamba Times. We'll break the news down for you what's happening in Banjul. So today, the young man was laid to rest. Police are currently investigating the issue. This begs the questions of who policed the police, because the young man was killed by the Gambia police, members of the Gambia police force, and it's the same members of the Gambia police force who are going to conduct this very investigation. So this begs the question, who policed the police? This is why the role of the civil society, people like Gala, the Edward Francis Small Center for Right and Justice, are doing everything possible to ensure that, you know, those officers are held accountable. A young man's life was cut short because of police brutality. You know, and we have seen a lot of police brutality in the Gambia recently. And people will be like, is this the Gambia we wanted? Is this the Gambia we fought for? But no one know exactly where we are heading as a country. It's unfortunate. But I know Gambia will not go back to dictatorship. Gambia will not go back to those dark era where impunity prevailed, where total disregard for rule of law prevailed. No, Gambia will not go back. You have seen young people, unprecedented, coming out of the streets, demanding for accountability. Imagine, a couple of years ago, there was nothing like Gala. Gala just came less than a year, but they have changed the dynamics in holding government accountable. And these are young people. Nobody dare go on the streets during dictatorship. Yeah, few did, but they pay heavy price for it. People like Solo Sunday, may his soul rest in peace. This guy was on the street. It's because of what Solo did that gave birth to the new Gambia. We all know he went with others on the streets in April 2016 to demand for electoral change. And he was killed broad daylight by then notorious NIA. So when you look at what's happened, I posted someone so that before it was the NIA who were doing all these brutalities, illegal arrests, placing people in communicado. But now, the Gambia police force, unfortunately, is the one doing all that nasty things. It's unfortunate, and we hope and pray that the killers of this young boy are brought to justice. Never again mantra should be upheld at the highest standard. But now, it's a serious issue. A very serious issue. Anyway, this is just an opinion analysis by myself, Seni Marena, the host of the Final Take. Although this is not Final Take today, my reporters had a great interview with Saikou Sawo, who is the founder of the Golden Era Party, the newest entrance to the Gambia's political landscape. We have seen a lot of political parties are coming up as usual. I heard of the crucial 2026 presidential elections. And one thing that I get to understand from this new party, which is led by Saikou and what's the other lady name? Something Cheyasen's daughter, yeah. But this guy, Saikou, is the is the one leading the political party. So I think a lot of people will be like, we have had, experience with young people forming political parties. Because in the case of Dr. Cisse of Citizens Alliance, who is now, serving as the Minister of Information for the Barrow administration. Dr. Cisse used to be the leader. I think he's still the leader, but unfortunately, he is no more Dr. Cisse we knew when he established Citizen Alliance. So a lot of people were like, we had experience with Dr. Cisse. We hope Saikou will be like Dr. Cisse. Yes, everyone have your own reservation, or you can raise concerns about young people seeking political office. And I believe everyone should be given an opportunity. That is what is right now having a serious problem or internal issues at the UDP. Talib Ahmed Bensouda wanted to be the UDP flag bearer, and he submitted his credentials for to be the flag bearer. A few days or a day or so, he announced that he's going to withdraw from the race, and then it was left with Bori Esture, Amadou Sane, and then Lawyer Dabo, the veteran opposition leader who has been the UDP flag bearer since its inception in '96. So the issue, why I'm bringing this, because I'm trying to reason why young people should also be given an opportunity to seek political office of that level, looking at Talib's issue and that of Saikou. So, yeah, so at the UDP right now, there is a lot of internal issues because of there is a camp, Talib camp, and UDP camp, primarily those supporting Lawyer Dabo. But Lawyer Dabo right now is the chosen flag bearer who won. He won the race to become the UDP flag bearer. But there are people in the party that still want a young Talib to lead, because they believe that Lawyer Dabo has, contested for, at least 5 elections, and he could not win any. And they believe giving chance to young leaders like Talib, who they think is a winnable candidate or a winning candidate. So this has led to this party internal disagreement. Right now, we have seen massive resignations from the United Democratic Party, but most of those resigning, will not tell you which party they are going to join, but most of them are supporters of the Talib camp. We haven't heard from Talib whether he's going to officially leave the United Democratic Party and form his own political party. But this has been rumored that he's on the verge of forming his own political party, because a lot of young people want him to lead. So I hope we will hear more news about whether this young man will form his political party and challenge, Ousainou Darboe at the 2026 president. It's going to be an interesting, if that happens, meaning Lawyer Darboe's kids, to his kids. Sorry, maybe when I say kids, that might sound a little bit disrespectful, but I believe these are people that Lawyer mentees. These are people Lawyer Darboe mentor. President Adama Barrow and Talib. So if all these people want to come and contest the presidential election, it will be a very interesting race. Lawyer Darboe racing with his young political mentees. So that will be, because Barrow called him political godfather, Talib the same thing. So it will be an interesting race. I hope, we hope that, we see that happening, because right now there is going to be a very, very interesting elections. Interesting in the sense that there has been a lot of discontent among young voters. And this is manifested every day. Youths are hitting the streets. They are not happy with what is happening. Security sector reform, police brutality, rampant corruption, disregard for our independent institutions. So there is a lot of things happening that voters want to change come 2026 president's election. So guys, for those joining us, this is my view on the Alkamba Times, and hopefully next Saturday I will be back on my show, The Final Take with MK, that airs every Saturday. But for the past couple of weeks, due to one busy schedules, one reason or the other, I couldn't hold my show. But hopefully we will bring you more guests, expert analysis to talk about the way forward, what's happening, breaking the news, giving you guys context. So I will draw the curtain here, but please subscribe to our pages, the Alkamba Times on YouTube. You can also, follow us on Facebook, on Twitter at Alkamba Times, or better still, go to our website, www.thealkambatimes.com, and then you get latest commentaries, news analysis, happening around the world. We have very committed team of journalists, reporters. You could see the interview that my team had with Saikou Sawo, who is the newest entrant to the political landscape. Saikou had his first meeting in Banjul, and then he has outlined his vision, what he envisaged, for the Gambia, should the people trust him with that mantle to lead. That is why I said 2026 presidential election will be the most interesting election in our history, because Gambia is at a crossroad between the forces of good and the forces of evil. And I hope and pray that the forces of good win over the forces of evil. Wherever you are, I am your host or presenter, I will say, Seni Marena, from our virtual studios here in Washington State. So it's few minutes to 7 p.m. I know it's very late out in Banjul, but do have a pleasant evening and follow the Alkamba Times for your latest news, breaking news, current affairs analysis. So keep following. We will break the news for you, and then when I'm back on Saturday, I'll bring you guys a surprise guest. We will unpack the current state of affairs in the Gambia, from rampant corruption, gripping the Barrow administration, to the multi-million-dollar scandals. So there is a lot to unpack, and the place for it is right here on Alkamba Times. Bye-bye. Do have a wonderful evening from us right here. Thank you.